Hey everyone, got a what would you do question and posting it anonymously enough because of the personal detail. I have a 30K car debt charged at 8.49%, but I also have 25K savings offsetting a $415,000 mortgage charged at 5.38%. The math says I'm better off using the savings to pay down the car, which would save nearly $1,000 per year in interest. No brainer, right? Yeah, I guess. But I'm really struggling because it seems like I now have a bit of an emotional connection with the 25K. The savings is actually our emergency account. It took my wife and I 7 years to save through children, daycare costs, multiple surgeries for our kids, and saying no to our friends a lot in the last 7 years. Missed out on 2 separate overseas marriages, of course, of close friends. Are only 2 examples of a long list of sacrifices. Hey, a lot of us miss out on overseas destinations weddings, so that's, okay, sorry, I'll keep going. So I'm struggling a bit to let that 25K go towards paying off the car. And I don't know if I'm ready to go back through all of this discipline and hurt again to save the emergency fund back up. I'm not interested in selling the car and going a cheaper one, as this is suiting our family needs and has replaced an older car that I owned and was mechanically causing trouble. What would you do? Do you have any advice on getting past this mental barrier or connection to the savings? Do I go half-half and just use a bit of the savings to pay down the car? Any help or guidance is appreciated. Thanks, community. Now, you'll see there, if you are watching it on YouTube, I asked some follow-up questions, and throughout this show, we will see what other people said in the Facebook group. But what a situation. So much juice. I love it. So my options would be to, 1, do nothing. So we just keep on keeping on. And we always have to use that as a consideration when we're looking at money, because it could be a reference point for decisions that we can make. So let's do nothing. The second option would be to pay off the 20 grand off the car, leave that 5K in the emergency fund, and focus on paying that 5K loan down ASAP. Another option would be to sell the car, buy a cheaper car with cash, maybe even 15K, and leave an emergency fund. The other option would be to refinance the car with the mortgage. So there, I think, are my options that we will consider. So what do we do? Well, if you are watching on YouTube, I've put a diagram up, and I'll also just read it out if you are listening. I think in this situation, what I'm going to do is not pay down the car, but move the debt into a more favorable environment to pay down faster. Now, it makes sense in this scenario that we do use the mortgage to do that, because, I'm probably not even going to the effort going to another loan provider and say, hey, can I get a car loan from myself, because it's going to have monthly fees and all that stuff. You've already got the mortgage. You've already got an offset account. We know that there will be a good product in the background. We want to refinance the car loan with our own equity from the mortgage. But I'll just call out first, we are not nowhere on this planet refinancing it into a generic pot of money with a 30-year term. Because if we did that, just rocked up to the bank, hey, I'd like to refi and consolidate my debt. If we did that, that $30,000 amount, even at 5.3%, if we did it over 30 years, sure, the monthly repayment would be $380 less. It's $170. But the total repayments on that amount of money end up to be about $60,000. The total interest paid from now being about $13,000 balloons to $30,000, and we end up paying an extra $17,500. So when you refinance your car with your mortgage over 30 years, I hope you like the car, because it's going to cost you another 20 grand than just getting a car loan or cleaning this BS up within 4 or 5 years, 4 being the one that I would choose. So let's just have a look now. We know that the current amount is $550 a month. We know that there is 6.5 years left on the loan. So if we did refi it onto a mortgage and we told the broker, and this is where I'll read the message from Rach at Sphere Home Loans. Thanks for, I'm actually recording this on a Sunday of all things. So yesterday on a Saturday when I was prepping this, she was kind enough to reply. I said, could someone set up a second mortgage with equity in the home and have that second mortgage on a 4 or 5 year principal and interest term for a car, so it gets paid off in that time? Do most banks have this option? I knew it was an option, I guess. I just wanted to make sure that most banks would do it. She said this: yes, we regularly set up splits with shorter terms. Cool. And then I just wrote, yes, sweet. Thought so. Good for cars to get them paid off within 4 years, in my honest opinion. IMO, she said 100%. Now, the thing that I teased at the start where she surprised me was the part this. She said, unless they are investors where the term can hurt servicing, so we just set the repayment to the term. And this is where one's mind can start to blow, because if we go back and look at the comments that I just made, if we rolled that car into the regular mortgage term of 30 years, sure, on paper, that split on the mortgage might just be a second split that is 30 years. We really want to make sure that we still attack that. But for servicing, we've kept it on a 30 years because we want to buy an investment property. Okay? So this is where you need to really be sure. But my first view would be to not do that, and particularly for these people, okay? So when we go to our mortgage broker or back to the bank or lender, and if you don't have a mortgage broker, please go to Sphere Home Loans. Don't go back to your bank. Just let the mortgage broker do this. Don't let them twist your arm into just putting it on a 30-year term. The reason why, most people, and particularly, and this is the thing, if you are doing it on that 30-year term or 25-year term, make sure it's a separate split, not just in with your mortgage, because you need to see it. Because so many people, what they do, if they don't have their spending in order and they don't have all their crap dialed up, they'll refinance the car, throw it in with the mortgage, never pay it down sooner, get lax with their spending, wake up one day, oh, we want to buy another car, go get another car loan, go get a personal loan for a freaking holiday, rinse and repeat. In my first book, Sort Your Money Out, I used an example. I sat down with a guy who was about to retire. He had no money to his name, still had a mortgage, because for years he was just doing, let's just roll it into the mortgage, blah, blah, blah. And they wake up at 65 wondering why they've got a mortgage still and have no money towards their name, because the underlying thing of spending less than what they earn, it just was not there. So having said that, my ideal term would be go to the mortgage broker and say, could you please set up a second mortgage or a split against my home over 4 years or 5 years? Even if you did 5 years and wanted to smash it sooner, do that. But let's just have a look here. 5.38% on 5 years. Their monthly repayment would increase by $20 a month to $570. Now, that means the total interest paid from the current scenario now, which is our do nothing, the total interest paid would be only around $4,000, not $13,000. So the total interest saved versus doing nothing, by even putting it on a 4 years and trying to cough up with another $20 a month, is around $9,000. $8,700. I am doing that all day long, my friends, every day of the week. My real encouragement would be for them to do a 4-year term. So we refi, get a second split against the mortgage, and basically, if you're new to money in life, their home, we'll just say it's worth $800K. They've got one mortgage of $400. We just get the bank to set up a second mortgage of $30K. Don't be tempted to make it $40 and go and buy a little holiday, okay? This is where people get a bit lax and a bit tempted to spend, if you will. If we did 4 years, sure, the monthly repayment goes from $550, an extra $145. I want you to feel pressure because there is a high chance that you couldn't afford this car to start with. My goal is 4 years, but if you're in a pinch, and that way the total interest saved doing it at 5 years on your current mortgage is $9,500. This is starting to get real, my friends. So my preference would be to refinance the car into the mortgage, keep your bloody car, enjoy the Ranger Everest, same. Put it against the mortgage because we're just moving the debt. This is not new debt. We're just doing a smart thing here. And yeah, I would encourage you to try the 4 years, but maybe a practical option would be the 5-year term. And then your reason for living financially over the next 4 years is to really start to pump that mortgage. Now, this is where things can get wildness, my friends. And I'm going to tell you about that wildness right after this. Right, we're back. And the wildness that I was talking about was potentially, it goes back to the mortgage structure, right? And this is just, I don't know. It's so wild. Everything's just wild. Anyway, I'll get on with it. The $400,000 mortgage that you've got has an offset account. And at the moment, there's $25K in there, right? What I want you to do is download the Glen James spending plan. Just Google it. It's a free online course because we really want to make sure that we are maximizing. Because in a perfect world, I'm answering this as if you're running the tightest budgeted spending plan in the world. There's no wastage. You're intentional. You've got multiple accounts and all that stuff. What I'm probably going to challenge you with is when you go to the mortgage broker, set up a few offset accounts. So I want you to set up maybe 3 or 4 offset accounts. The first offset account, I want that. So I'm just drawing here. We'll base it on the $400K mortgage. And this is more the Glen James spending plan style, but I'll just quickly cover it for completeness. We want to have our cash hub as the first offset account. The next offset account, I want you to have as your emergency fund. The next offset account might be, gifts, clothes, holidays, and Christmas. The next whole offset account just could be some other savings. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4 offset accounts linked to your $400K mortgage. And then the next mortgage that they're going to set up, this is where it gets wild, is the $30K mortgage. And then the offset account there is where, and we'd set up an offset account there. So the monthly payments for the $30K mortgage come out of there. And then potentially we see if we can find money to keep saving in that offset account to potentially have it as the next car fund. Now, this is getting a bit advanced and wild, but I just want you to know, in terms of the psychology of life, as long as you have a mortgage. So this is different, right? There's some layers here. If you have a mortgage for a house that you live in, every dollar you spend is a dollar borrowed, okay? So you basically are living life borrowing money. That's the psychology of having a mortgage in a house that you don't live in. If you're someone like me who rents and has multiple investment properties and all the debt that I've got is tax deductible, sure, every dollar I spend, it's borrowed, but at least it's tax deductible. But this goes back to the psychology. As long as you've got a mortgage, you're borrowing money. Even if you now in the future save and you've got another offset account, even if you do buy that car with cash, you've still technically borrowed the money, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of thinking, if you did set up that 30K offset account, the 30K mortgage with an offset account linked, and remember, you don't have to have an offset account on that 30K mortgage. What you could do, and it's probably the advice that I actually give, not to make it complex, just don't have an offset account against that 30K. I'm walking back my complexity. Don't have an offset account against that 30K and just have the payments come out of the cash hub. But I guess if you did want to get to full enlightenment or all that stuff, maybe you do an offset account linked to that one or the other one, because it doesn't really matter. It's all non-deductible debt. And you have another account that you start to save for your next car. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of what I'll do. Recapping after talking 41 minutes. After 41 minutes, see a mortgage broker, get a new mortgage set up, 5-year max, 4 years if you can, but probably in this situation it will be 5 years, $20 a month extra, pay down the car loan, keep your cash savings, and get on with your life. Hey, it's Glenn here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.